welcome to another episode of Fridays with Fawn. I'm Fawn Lopez, publisher emeritus of Modern Healthcare. Today, I'm talking with Amy Perry, President and Chief Operating Officer of Banner Health in Scottsdale, Arizona. Amy is a nationally recognized healthcare executive who is a perennial honoree on several of Modern Healthcare's recognition programs for her leadership and contributions to our great industry, including being named as one of the 100 most influential people in healthcare in 2020, and most recently as one of the top 25 women leaders in healthcare for 2023. Amy, we've known each other a long time, and I've always admired you for your can-do attitude and result-oriented mindset, and more importantly, your passion and dedication to patients and families. It is such an honor to have you as my guest today.
Thank you so much, Fawn. I feel the same way about you. I feel like I could have said a lot of those same words about how I feel about you and how you've inspired not only me, but lots of women leaders in healthcare today.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
So true.
Thank you so much. And so let's get started, shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So your career in healthcare spans almost 30 years, and I hope I got the math right. When did you first decide you wanted to work in healthcare? And what do you enjoy most about working in our industry today?
So I kind of fell into healthcare. I'm not sure that I always say this, there's no really good Halloween costume for a healthcare professional. So, it's not one of those things that I think a lot of little kids say they want to grow up and be in this space. But I was working in real estate development and I wanted to stay in Florida after I met my husband, and took a real entry level job in a hospital and in the administrative offices. And wow, did I find my passion. It was really love at first sight because I love the purpose of the work. And it's just, and I've been driven every day since that first day at work to make a difference in this space, because we can change lives every day in big ways and small ways. I love the complexity of it. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment, or I love solving puzzles. And it's just been a dream come true. I really feel that for 31 or so years, every day that I've gotten out of bed to go to work, I have felt like running in to make a difference. And that's a gift, to find something that gives you that kind of passion and purpose. I feel so lucky every day.
I can also relate to that. How lucky are we all to work in an industry that has such capability to impact so many lives, right? So I have always been grateful for the opportunity.
That's the way I feel. Grateful.
Yeah. So the transition to value-based care is one of the biggest challenges in healthcare today. And it's one that I know you personally embrace and Banner embrace. Can you share some of your successes in improving value and access for the communities that you serve?
Yeah, so I feel that in value-based care, this has been my mission and my evolution. So in Maryland, which is a really interesting, it was my first foray out of Miami, where they have a global payment system. So true 100% risk healthcare delivery. And that switch, I think, was officially switched on in 2013. So huge change from, being able to continue to play the fee for service hamster wheel to now really having to actively manage utilization in its entirety. And so I think that experience led me to really understand population health in a new way, and the socioeconomic forces that impact everyone's ability to stay well on different levels. And so it was incredibly inspiring work, I believe, and really kind of confirmed that directionally this is the right place for healthcare to go. The challenge, though, is Maryland's program is not replicable. It's an unusual system built, over many, many years. And so I wanted to do something that could be replicated. And that's why I moved to Atlantic Health in New Jersey, which was another amazing opportunity to continue to grow in value-based care, and in sort of a system that would be more like other systems are dealing with. In New Jersey, almost 98% fee-for-service state, in a state that had some reluctance to transferring risk to a health system. So there we were able to transfer a large block of risk from one of our payers. And we did that with great care through making sure we had the right data and practice transformation and some amazing leadership on our physician enterprise. So it was a next step in my journey to value-based care, which I think is the future, which we all have to find our way towards. So when I got this opportunity at Banner to go to a health system that has its own health plan, it was then the most natural transformation to that next step. How do we work in a system where we have the tools not only to provide care, but also provide coverage? And so this has been just explosive, to be able to offer not only healthcare prevention and be able to find resources to pay for those investments, but to grow in that space. So my evolution in value-based care continues to grow. And I think it is the future for us to all get off the what I call the hamster wheel of fee-for-service medicine. But that crosswalk is incredibly difficult.
Yep. Wow, love knowing, hearing about the evolution. So thank you for sharing that with us. So let's talk a little bit about the pandemic. So during the pandemic, we've seen the potential of digital strategies like telehealth and virtual care for improving access. How can a system like Banner Health continue to leverage these strategies to better serve patients? And I was very fortunate, privileged to have had the opportunity to spend a lot of time talking with you during the pandemic. So talk to us about the potential.
Yes, I will. First of all, I think all of us who lived through the pandemic have a little PTSD over that time frame. And Fawn, again, on a personal note, thank you, because you were a tremendous friend and support for me personally during that time, and I'm grateful. So thank you for just allowing the digital river to flow, so to speak. I think that all health systems were sort of teed up in their own little way to start moving into digital and virtual care, but nothing could have, ripped that Band-Aid off faster than the pandemic, because we couldn't be in person and we had to use tools. And I think that it was freeing and accelerating, which is something we're not, always great at in our field. We're big, sometimes slow moving machines. But now we have this opportunity to have the best of both worlds. When a patient needs to come in and see a doctor face to face, we have that available. But when a patient doesn't need to take that extra time and can sit in their home or office and dial up for their appointment, That is the magic that we have now created in this consumer-centric world. And the patient has a new demand for how they want to experience healthcare. So we're moving forward in this area. And I think that the areas that it really matters are, first of all, that connectivity with the physician and that relationship with the physician. Secondly, what tools can we offer our consumers to stay well? Like, how are we using sort of digital prescriptions? How can we maximize our remote monitoring capabilities? So again, to provide more independence for our patients, keep them home, keep them where they want to be. And so I think what virtual care ultimately helped us do is, instead of forcing the patient into our world, come be convenient for us, digital care has allowed us to wrap our services around our patients in a way they want to be served.
Yep. And that's the true consumer-driven healthcare, right? We have to be where the patients want us.
Exactly.
And that's where, the trend to home care has accelerated.
Right on.
Yeah. So let's switch gear a bit and talk about career. We often hear about barriers to career advancement for women and minority groups in healthcare. So, has there been a time for you in your career when you felt the impact of these barriers? And how did you manage it? And lastly, what can we do as leaders to break down those barriers?
Yes. So I think that we are in a better time. So let's start with the positive. I think we're in a moment in time where there is a beginning to be a more even playing field with choice, right? So I think that when we line up our candidates there for any job, we are leaning into diversity in new ways, and not just at Banner. I think that is across the system. So that is right. Starting from there, I think that in most nonprofit healthcare systems, diversity candidates have an equal opportunity, if not even a leg up in this particular time. Our challenge is that we're behind. We're behind in bringing up diversity candidates into leadership roles. So when we look for people, let's say we want to hire a specific person in a specific role, and we look across the candidate pool now, there's a very small number of diversity candidates at those highest levels because we're still catching up as an industry. So my feeling is that our most important job as leaders right now is to pull up team members who would not normally have opportunities and get our teams positioned for a career pathway. And I think that is the fastest way we will prepare the workforce for the future, the leaders for the future, is by giving people like me opportunities and help our team show, have that opportunity to get candidate ready. You know what I'm saying? So that when we do a national search, we see many different voices. And that is what is still missing. So the opportunity, I think, is there. I think the pipeline needs to get to be more robust. And we do that now by pulling people up in each one of our organizations.
Yeah. And when we build women up, we all rise, right? We all win.
That's right.
So what about, do you have any personal experience overcoming some of those barriers yourself?
Yes. I mean, I think for me, and I've said this to other people, I think that, women have a different set of obstacles in front of us. When we are assertive, we're aggressive, when we're results oriented, we're put into certain categories. And that is really a real situation. And
Mhm.
so what I've tried to focus on, probably over the last 10 years, is relationships equal to results. And I say that to a lot of women colleagues because I see so many younger women just incredibly successful in achieving, their A plus results over and over again, but then maybe not getting positioned for a promotion. And I think I could see that in my own career. I was very focused on, what do we need to do? What are the results we need to get? Let me get that A plus. And realizing over time that as long as you get a B plus, but you have a lot of people around you, you probably win on a greater level. So it's like, how do we get results, but we make sure that our team is much larger around us? And I think I use this analogy of, like, you need a lot of people on the bus with you. So
Yeah,
if you're
so true.
going somewhere and people start falling off the bus and you finally get to your destination and you're the only one on the bus, you probably didn't really win. So
Right.
keep as many people on your journey as you can. And I think that that's the best advice I give myself, and I give to others as well. Just, to try to encourage everyone to win together. And ultimately, that will help set you apart as a team builder. But there are different rules for
Yeah.
women leaders than there are for men leaders. And, that to pretend there aren't is just being naive.
And, and we need to change that. We need to help change that,
Yes,
right?
we do need to
Yeah.
help change that, but there are, there just are, there's unconscious bias.
Yeah.
And so to ignore that, I think, is to just set yourself up a little bit. So acknowledge it, understand it, and find appropriate ways to continue to lean in.
Totally. I couldn't agree more, and such great advice. So speaking of advice, um, and I'd love for you to add to this next question about what, in your opinion, would be your advice for emerging leaders, minorities, women who are preparing for their next step into an executive position?
I think that there's a couple things. I think that one of the things that I've always tried to do is use my voice, use my perspective as a superpower. And I think that when diverse voices get to the table and they find a way to be heard, then it's like, oh my goodness, yes, we haven't thought of it in that manner. We haven't looked at all sides of this. And that when you, as a diversity candidate of any kind, come into a meeting, find a way to be heard, find a way to use your voice to express an idea or a thought or an opinion or a fact that maybe not everyone in the room was thinking of, because they're in a box, you
Mhm.
are in a box. Let's get those collective voices heard. So I always say to everyone here, it's like silence is agreement. So
Yeah.
if you say nothing, you're just riding the surf, which is fine because you must think everything is perfect. But it's such a tremendous opportunity when you can use your voice, use it, and show the team a perspective that is valuable. And then you can see the power of the diversity. It's like, show the power, demonstrate the power of diversity through your voice.
That's great. Good advice. Thank you. So let's. What do you consider um, your greatest professional achievement and one that shaped your career?
That's a great, I don't really have, maybe I wish I did. I think surviving COVID would be up there. Let's
Yeah.
see, surviving hurricanes in Florida and a pandemic. But I think that instead of having one momentous moment, I've had hundreds of little wins.
Yeah.
And and I and I built on them. And I think that that's not all that bad. I always, I celebrate, little tiny celebrations in my for all the little wins, all the times where I feel like the team came together to solve a problem and I feel like I was an important part of that, or I helped inspire that. So for me, it's every day the little stuff. I think that my career is made up of celebrating a lot of small wins that added up over time to a career that I am so deeply proud of.
That is really a great a piece of advice and thought because we sometimes tend to only focus on the big wins, the big stuff, but it's the little stuff that adds up, right?
So I will tell you, when I was awarded the top 25 women leader for the first time, and I don't remember when it was, but I actually started crying
Oh,
because I think it's like you try to give yourself the confidence that you're doing the right thing, and if you're like me, you don't do it for the recognition, you do it because you just feel so personally rewarded. But
yeah.
then it's funny, for that one moment I was like, wow, is it possible that this is having an impact and somebody else sees it outside of myself? And it was very sort of self-affirming.
Yeah.
So, there are those moments where, you just, it's good to feel like you're on the right track and have some external confirmation, because otherwise, as women leaders, we need to trust our gut like 99% of the time. There's not a lot of external confirmation. We have to be pretty internally confident in what we're doing.
And it's a confirmation which it's really helps us to keep moving forward and keep doing more, right?
Right. So
So
it's a good boost. So thank you.
it's always been an honor. It's an honor to recognize your leadership and your work and the
Thank you.
contributions that you make, not only to patients and families, but also to your colleagues, to people like myself. You've impacted my career in more ways than one. So thank you for that.
It's honestly a privilege.
Thank you. So let's talk about who has inspired you and why.
So obviously you're one of those people because you have passion, and I'm inspired by people who really care. And I always say to my husband, at the end of the day, I wish I didn't care so much, because care, you really put your heart into everything you do. And in our world, there's big um there's a lot of meaningful things that happen every day. And so when you put your heart really into all of those things, it takes some energy out of you. So I always wish I could kind of control my level of caring. It's like one speed. It's one speed. So I appreciate the people that I see every day, and I'm inspired every day by the people that I see that I know care as deeply. And when you work in an organization with more than 52,000, 53,000 employees, and you see how much they care, and you walk around, whether it's in a physician office or an ambulatory site or our hospitals, and you see someone just serving their heart up every day, there's nothing that inspires me more. I mean, our team and what they do every day is amazing. Giving their hearts to strangers that they immediately wrap their arms around, like family, that what they do for the patient's family, there's nothing to me that's more inspiring than human to human caring. And so that's what I appreciate most about the people that inspire me, are the people that truly give with their heart and truly care. And I got to tell you, Banner has a really special culture. I've never seen so many people who really care as I have seen here.
Awesome. It starts with leadership. So congratulations to you and your leadership team
The
at Banner
team.
Health.
Yeah, it's the team. So
Yeah.
proud to work with them. Thank you.
So, so in your opinion, what are some of the greatest opportunities as well as challenges facing women and minorities in healthcare leadership?
So I think, still we have to rely on leaders to pull us up. So we have to, unfortunately, at the top of the pyramids in healthcare, there's still not a lot of diversity, as we know. And so we need to count on, and we need to lean in to our other leaders and challenge them and be very openly challenging about what's your plan? How are you pulling people up? So it doesn't happen unless, let's say, and it's a terrible way to say it, but unless the establishment, the sort of top echelon, and that includes boards and the top CEOs, unless they say, we need a change here. How are we going to develop people and pull people up and create a leadership? And when I say leadership, I'm talking, 2,500, hospitals and health systems across the country, and create leadership teams that reflect our communities. And that is the big change. I mean, I think that seeing more women leaders is very important to all of us, because we know that more than 60% of the people that work in healthcare are women. So to have, that just seems like a natural. And at Banner, we have a majority of women in leadership, which is I'm so proud of, because it really is more reflective of, our general workforce. But we also have to be reflective of our communities. And that's where we have this opportunity to create pipelines and pull people up. And so I think that, again, making sure people hear you when you have the opportunity, and not in a, obnoxious way, but there's an easy way to say, hey, I'd like to contribute. I'd like to contribute to this conversation. I have an idea. Send an email to, with a couple ideas. I'm always very appreciative when people are proactive in solving problems. And I think that, that's just one very small way. But I think ultimately it's got to come up and it's got to come down, and there needs to be that support in both directions in order for us to really solve this faster. Because I really think it's on a trajectory, but we need a little speed. And, so I think trying to give it a little bit of energy is important.
Great. Everything in life is a two-way street.
Yep.
I fully subscribe to that.
Yeah. So put your hat in the ring. Apply for things. Get in there. Get in there, and don't assume you're not going to get picked.
Push yourself out there, right?
Push yourself up and hope that you have an organization that's going to do some pulling up too. And that's where we start making those matches.
Awesome. So we're getting down to the end of our conversation, and I have one last question for you.
Okay.
So if you could go back in time, 10 years, what would you tell your younger self about leadership that you did not know then?
Wow. Well, I think I really go back to making sure the bus is full. And, I think that as a younger person, it was really important to me to get the results, because I felt that was the right thing to do. I just didn't know better. Like, okay, solve this problem. Here it is, but I realized how powerful it is to solve problems as a team. And I think that the more that I've done that, the more that I've learned how to pull people up and have other people drive the bus, put the navigation in place, figure out what music to play on the radio, get all of the wonderful things together. It's really a career accelerator. So if I would go back, I'd have a few more people on the bus early on. But I think, thank goodness, I learned that, early, wasn't too much of that before I learned how to navigate that.
That's just awesome. So, Amy, thank you so much for sharing your story with us and inspiring me and so many others. Your words of advice and coming from a place of authentic experience mean more than you know. And I'm so excited. So excited to continue this conversation at our upcoming Women Leaders in Healthcare conference.
I can't wait. It's always been a great experience. The women that you've put together at Modern Healthcare are just, incredibly inspiring to me. And I just feel lucky to be a part of it. And I just want to continue to contribute to this incredibly important work that we do every day, which is, just keeping people healthier and making a difference and making healthcare sustainable.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time and for your authenticity and leadership.
Thank you, Fawn.
To our viewers, thank you for tuning in today. I look forward to seeing you at the next Fridays with Fawn and at our Women Leaders in Healthcare conference, which is going to be held on August 9th to 11th in Chicago. So until then, have a wonderful weekend and happy spring. Thank you.